Imagine a world long before dinosaurs, long before anything you know. A world shrouded in a thick, toxic haze. This wasn't a world of green jungles and roaring tyrannosaurs. This was a silent, alien planet, and it was ruled by a monster. This creature didn't need to hunt you. You just ... disappeared. The air is thick, heavy with sulfur from constant volcanic eruptions. The ground is a barren wasteland of black rock and gray ash. Nothing grows here. Nothing can survive here. Or so you'd think. But beneath the surface, something stirs. It isn't an animal. It isn't a plant. It's something else entirely. A colossal single organism, a sprawling fungal network named prototaxites. But this is no ordinary mushroom. Picture this: towering spires, some reaching up to 30 feet high, breaking through the desolate landscape like giant pale fingers clawing their way out of the earth. They stand in silent, eerie forests across the continents. They are the tallest things on the planet. For millions of years, they are the undisputed kings of the land. They have no eyes, no mouths, no brains, but they dominate everything. How does a giant, unmoving fungus dominate a planet? By being the only game in town. 420 million years ago, during the Silurian and Devonian periods, life was just beginning its conquest of the land. The first tiny millimeter-high plants were clinging to the edges of swamps. The first insects were basically wingless, armored specks crawling in the dirt. And then there were these titans. Prototaxites dwarfed everything. An early millipede-like creature, no bigger than your finger, would have looked up at these structures the way we look up at skyscrapers. It was a world of giants and dwarves, and prototaxites were the giants. Scientists who first discovered their fossils in 1859 were completely baffled. They looked like petrified tree trunks, but the timeline was all wrong. These fossils were from a time hundreds of millions of years before large trees were supposed to exist. For over a century, the debate raged. Were they strange, rolled-up mats of liverworts, a bizarre form of lichen, or maybe a type of algae that grew to impossible sizes? The internal structure was the key. Under a microscope, it wasn't wood grain. It was a dense, tangled web of microscopic tubes, or hyphae. This was the signature of a fungus. But how did it get so big? The answer lies in its food source. Prototaxites was a saprotroph, a master decomposer. It didn't need sunlight like a plant. It fed on the dead. Its vast underground network, a mycelium stretching for miles, would break down the accumulating organic matter in the primitive soil. It was the planet's great recycler, digesting the microbial crusts and the first pioneering plants, turning death into life its own life. It quite literally ate the world to grow. In this empty, early world, with little competition and an abundance of microbial decay to feed on, it had the resources to achieve its colossal size. Imagine walking through one of these fungal forests. The silence would be absolute, broken only by the wind whistling past the pale, featureless trunks. There are no birds, no roaring predators. The ground is dark and damp. The air smells of decay and sulfur. You feel a deep, primal sense of being an intruder in a place not meant for you. These towering structures aren't just standing there. They are alive. They are slowly, invisibly, digesting the very ground beneath your feet. They are the system. They are the environment. The real power of prototaxites wasn't in its size, but in its influence. By breaking down organic matter, it was creating the first true soils. It was fundamentally changing the chemistry of the planet, paving the way for the complex plant life that would follow. The great forests of the Carboniferous period, the ones that would give us our coal deposits, might never have existed without this strange fungal titan preparing the ground first. It was a world shaper, a silent architect of the future. For nearly 70 million years, prototaxites stood unchallenged. 70 million years. That's longer than the time that has passed since the dinosaurs went extinct. It witnessed the first amphibians crawl from the water. It saw the evolution of the first true insects with jaws. It watched as the world slowly, painstakingly, began to fill with life. But its reign, like all reigns, had to end. The world was changing. The very plants it helped to foster were now its competition. Vascular plants, with their roots and leaves, began to spread, grow taller, and form canopies. They were better at accessing sunlight and water. They created shade, changing the environment on the forest floor. They outcompeted the fungus for resources and space. As the first real forests of woody trees began to rise, The age of the giant mushroom was coming to a close. The climate changed, the ecosystems became more complex, and the world simply moved on. The towering spires of prototaxites began to shrink, to fall, to rot away, becoming food for the new world they had helped to create. Their fossils are all that remain, a silent testament to a time when a fungus was the largest living thing on land. But here's the truly unsettling thought. The organism itself never really went away. Fungi are still here, masters of the unseen world beneath our feet. The largest known organism on Earth today is not a blue whale. It's a fungal network in Oregon, an Armillaria astoi, covering nearly 4 square miles. It's a direct descendant of the same kingdom that produced prototaxites. The giants may have fallen, but their kingdom simply went underground, waiting. It dominated the world once, in plain sight. Today, it still dominates, just quietly, secretly, under everything. And it proves that the most powerful forces on this planet are not always the ones you can see.